Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. So today we'll be discussing about a very important topic in JavaScript, which is closures, and it is widely asked in your JavaScript interview. So if you go theoretically, basically closure is nothing but a function that remembers its lexical environment. So now you must be wondering that I have gone to the technical terms. What is lexical environment? So we'll be covering everything one by one. So lexical environment is basically the environment in which it was created. So, in basic terms, a closure is a function that remembers the environment in which it was created. So, a closure is formed when a function, remembers its lexical scope. Even when the function has executed and, has come outside that lexical scope, still it remembers the environment in which it was created. So, coming on to the lexical scope, it is nothing but the concept that variable and function remembers a scope in which they were defined, and they are accessible within that scope and inner scopes. So this was about the theoretical knowledge, and I think it is the only thing you want to know about the closure, that it is a function that remembered its environment in which it was created. And if you go on to the higher technical terms or technical jargons, it is the function that remembers its lexical scope. So I have made a JavaScript file named as closure.js, and I've included that in my index.js. Let's console log, only to check we are connected or not. Just save it. Let's just go live. So these are the extensions that you can go and download from extensions here from your VS Code. So yeah, closures. We have this thing printed in our console. Coming on to the coding part, let's just make a function, and then we'll be understanding how it is working. So there is a function called as outer scope. So this is the outer scope of the function, and here we are, let's declare a variable which is the outer var, which is saying, hey, I am part of outer function. Alright, just this. Alright, and then there is a function inside it which is inner function, which console logs this outer var. Alright, which console logs this outer var. And what does this outer function, outer scope does? We can just make it, let's name it outer func. Okay, so this outer func does nothing but return the inner func. So it returns the inner func. That's it. Now if we go ahead and make a function which calls the outer func. So now we know if it is calling this function, now we know if it is calling this function, this will get what is returned by this function. So this will get inner func, because outer func function when called, it returns the inner func. So inner func will be coming on to here, right? So this function, let me just explain it later on. So let's just call the func. All right, let's just call this func and see what's happening. Before that, let me just save it, and if you'll see in my console, nothing would happen, right? Because we're not calling any function or anything. So what will happen is that when I call this function, it says, hey, I'm part of the outer func. Like, why it is printing that? Did you understand the logic? So let's see, like, this func is nothing but a closure function. Now let's go through it and let's see why I'm saying that. So there was a function outer func which has a variable, hey, I'm the part of outer func, and there is a function inside it, inner func, which console logs this function. So this function is declared within this function, and there is a function inside it which console logs this value. And this function does nothing but returns the inner function. Now, in this statement, I said const func is equal to outer func, and outer func got executed. No, it returned. The function finished its execution and returned inner func. Did you see that? When I say this line, forget about this function call. When I'm saying that const func is equal to outer func and I call the function, this function got executed. There is a const variable declared, there is a function which is not yet called, only declaration, and then it returned the inner func. So this returned the inner func to this func. And now when I call this func, this has become now the inner func, right? Which accesses and logs the value of outer func. So, what it means that this thing, this thing remembers the environment in which it was declared. That's the reason that we got, hey, I'm the part of the outer func. We didn't even call it. What we called is this function got executed, and then on the basis of what it returned, we call that, and we got the console log of the outer var. So this remembers the state, the function in which it was declared, and therefore it can access the variable, the functions of this particular environment. So this was the topic of closure, which simply does nothing but remember it like the function that remembers its environment in which it was declared. And the environment at which was declared is nothing but the lexical scope. So this was all about closures and we saw it with an example. So I hope it was clear to you. Thank you so much.